All right, so welcome. Thank you for being here. I have a really special guest I'm super stoked to talk to, Mr. Romeo Baron. He is a Wayshower Type 1 Indigo incarnate of the Lyran-Sirian Eieyani family line, Blue Oraphim? Shoot.
Orphim.
Orphim, cosmic avatar lineage in divine presence with the Guardian Angelic Star Nations for the universal divine plan. He's an advocate for spiritual wellness and healthy lifestyles. He was activated in 2011 into his Truth Spirit mission to assist in humanity's liberation and unity with the absolute divine, and return to the tree of knowledge that supports the awareness of multidimensional, limitless, spiritual transmutation and ascension experience. Okay, so I'm kind of geeking out a little bit here because a lot of your posts early on were absolutely essential in my progression. And it was like, I would read your energy posts and it would be like, holy cow. It was a confirmation to me that whatever I was tapping into was the real thing. So I guess there's so many things I want to start with, but let's start with, I guess, your awakening. And in 2011, when all of this was very apparent to you in your consciousness, what did that look like?
Right. So I was pretty lost in the matrix for a while. It's good that I have this opportunity right now to explain or share my experience of my journey to my followers and my subscribers on YouTube, because all they know is my transmissions that I put out, but they don't really know too much about me. So right now is a good time to really just share that a little bit about myself. So yeah, I was pretty much lost in the matrix for a while, up until I was 32. In 2011, in September of 2011, when I was awakened, didn't know what was happening at the time. I was experiencing these symptoms. I didn't know what they were, but they were very profound, to the point where I wasn't afraid, but I was excited because I knew something was happening. But I just didn't know what it was, because I really didn't know like anything about spirituality or being on a spiritual journey, or even meditating at the time. So in September of 2011, I had a spontaneous just awakening where there was just a rush of energy. And at the time, I didn't know what that was. Later, I found out through doing research on Google, and just in a matter of days, I had to look up, okay, why am I feeling this rush of energy, euphoric sensation? Why do I feel like I'm paralyzed? I can't move, but I'm okay. I'm not in pain. I'm just in a state of euphoria. And but it's hard for me to walk. It's hard for me to even, all I can think about is just smiling and laughing, because it just feels so good. So at the time, so that happened. Those are one of the symptoms that I was feeling during this whole awakening. Other symptoms were just heightened awareness, heightened like sensory. My hearing was amplified and things like that. I started hearing background noises, as if my consciousness at the time, I didn't know what consciousness was, but I could feel myself in other reality fields. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I started to do some research and to look up, okay, what was happening? And I found out it was a spiritual awakening. And so that's when around that time, I joined Facebook uh, and I joined some Facebook groups because I wanted to connect with other people and then to talk about the ascension symptoms that I was experiencing. And so that's how my journey began. And so since 2011, right before the 2012, uh, which is now known as the stellar activation cycle, interstellar activation cycle is what I like to call it. Uh, that was pretty much my time. I was right on time for that. So since 2012, I've been just on a journey of clearing the karmic energies, karmic distortions, and my parental DNA imprints, and it's just been advancing since, over the years of doing more research and then healing myself more and more and expanding, raising my vibration more and more. And in 2017, this was actually December 25th in 2017, on Christmas Day, ironically, the languages of light was activated within me, and these were the vocals of the languages of light. And at the time, I didn't know what lineage I was speaking, but through just speaking more, it started to come together. My higher self started to embody more and more the more I spoke these languages of light and on a daily basis. And that's what I do every single day. I practice every day, like language transmissions all day long. And it's my passion. So yeah, and it's been, it hasn't been on like roses and peaches and butterflies and everything with me. I've been through a lot of difficulties in my life, and still, even after my awakening, I've just been through so many difficulties, and just there's a lot of interference in this reality field because we know what is up against us, right? And so that's what, I just wanted to share a little bit about myself and my journey and everything.
Very cool. It's always so interesting to me how many people woke up in 2012. So mine was December 25th, 2012. That's when my, big epiphany moments happened. And I love that you call it interference. That is such a perfect word for it. So one of my main questions that I always ask very high frequency people that are just these amazing channeling people. So how do you, so we know you're this, this very powerful energetic being. How do you manage those interference things? Like, when I was having a lot of, the ascension symptoms and just not feeling grounded to earth at all, I found going to the post office was impossible. Doing my taxes was impossible. Like, it felt like I was so disassociated from the earth energies that it made these like three-dimensional tasks absolutely impossible. So I'm curious if you have any tips or tricks to how to mitigate and kind of like fluctuate with those energies.
What has helped me personally, what I do is just breathing exercises. And then I have a special technique that I do that I posted on my YouTube channel, but it's more like it's a very intense breathing exercise. And then I practice my languages of light every single day, and it helps me come back into my 0 point heart center.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so, and what else? Affirmation, voice commands. We now know collectively that the DNA can be restored, rewritten, reprogrammed if we, through the voice, through command, through intention. So that's an everyday thing for me. That's every day, all day. Every chance I get, that's all I focus on, and I can't get around it. I mean, I can't get away from it. I try to. Sometimes my ego, because I'm still, my ego is still, my ego is still trying to surrender, or having a hard time to surrender completely with spirit. So sometimes I'm like, my ego's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to just, go out and be human, everything. But the higher self is in charge. The higher self is driving this body. And so my higher self is very ET, galactic, angelic, especially.
So let me ask you this, because I feel like we're very kindred spirits here. How do you explain what you just said to somebody that is not a starseed, that may not be, well, I don't want to say not a starseed, but maybe not connected to that source of their consciousness? Because I think we all kind of have an aspect of our consciousness that is what you would call ET or galactic. A lot of people just haven't merged with that awareness yet. But how would you explain what you just said to somebody who's like, what is he talking about, ET? What is that, like, what does that mean?
Well, it's very hard to explain to somebody that has been programmed to cognitive dissonance, because you can't really make somebody see something. It's like trying to speak butterfly language to caterpillar people. It's not good. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. So the only way, I mean, yeah, that's a good question, because I
guess it's like, if you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. If you don't, then that means you were disconnected, and we all have been disconnected. We're all playing catch up, and we're all battling to stay connected. We really are, because here's the thing, like back in 2012, I'm much more advanced now than I was in 2012. So it takes time. It takes time because you have to heal the genetic distortions. We have to heal our bioneurology circuitry system, which has, for the most part, has been damaged through the inoculations in our childhood in order to attend these indoctrination schools. So the bioneurology is very important to connect to our cosmic lineage, ET family line genetics, very important. If we don't have the bioneurology circuitry system fully functioning, or at least functioning to a certain level where we can connect to our ET family line genetics, then we can't. We'll feel disconnected, and we won't understand it, and we'll feel this cognitive dissonance, and then we'll reject that idea, or which is not an idea. It's actually the truth of creation. So that's very important. Number one thing is that we need to heal our bioneurology circuitry system. Once we do that, then we can activate the brain circuits of higher galactic consciousness. And it's a process. It's a long process.
Yeah.
I've probably been doing this for thousands of years. and I'm still, you know, like, I hope this is my last,
Me
you know, my final, and I'm able to make my way out of here.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to evolve back into the higher realms,
Mm-hmm.
the higher harmonics of creation. That's what we're doing. So
Let me ask you, oh, there's so many things I want to ask you. Okay, so let me go back to the light language activation, because I'm very curious as to how it kind of came in for you.
mhm,
I know for me, I had never heard light language. I didn't, when I was in a meditation just with my earbuds, and I
mhm.
thought it was the meditation that was speaking, and I touched my throat, and I'm like, it's coming out of me, like what the hell, you know? So I'm wondering if you had like some idea, or was it just out of the blue? What is this?
No, what happened was it wasn't just, well, out of the blue. It was out of the blue in a way. I was in a deep meditative state on Christmas Day,
Mm,
and all of a sudden it felt like something right here was pulled out of my throat.
mm,
And when that, it was felt like something was released, right? And then when that thing that felt like a blockage was released, all of a sudden these languages, cosmic language codes started coming out, started flowing through. That's how it happened with me.
mm,
That's
mm.
how, yeah, that was my experience. And you know, it's different with everybody else. Everyone
Yeah.
has their own way, their own experience. And you know, but I think we have to reach a certain level of healing and activating the brain circuits of galactic consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the key. So, and we do that through just raising our frequency. We have to just keep raising our frequency. And the
Right.
love is like the most potent energy to raise our frequency, and to heal our heart and open or expand our heart. And everything is, it the expansion it happens through the heart. So
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
you have blockages around your heart, you have to heal and clear those blockages around your heart. If
Right.
you are seeking to expand and grow spiritually
Right.
in
Right.
alignment with your soul. So
Absolutely. So
mm,
I want to share with you a download that I had received shortly after my activation, and I want to see if you resonate with it, because I was shown this golden dome. Of course, everything's golden, right? And it was this idea of you know, all of these different fractalized, individualized souls. So meaning, you know, could be humans, or you know, potentially other energies coming in as well. But it was this idea of kind of with the light language codes as keys, an analogy for keys, but it was kind of like putting in their keys, turning their keys, and then something about, you know, I don't know that it was a specific number or if it was a specific quantity or frequency, but it was like if a certain potential you know, of individuals are activated and they're all speaking their codes, then it like opens up this almost gear to, you know, initiate or create this energy to be able to kind of move us forward in ascension. And I'm wondering if that kind of speaks to you at all.
yeah. So when was your activation
My activation was in Sedona.
in
Um,
Sedona?
yes, at Bell's Rock, August. It was
Oh, okay.
Lionsgate of 2018.
Oh, okay. And this was an activation of your like a with the languages of light,
So I
doing the
was,
artwork, or
yeah, actually, so that's when the artwork started. I was just
mm,
there. It was a full moon. It's a full moon right now, by the way. By the way, we are recording on April 14th, so it's a 144 day. It's a very special day for me. Anyways, side note. Yeah, no, it was, so I was out in the desert by myself, and it's midnight, and I'm looking at the full moon, and I'm at Bell Rock, and I had this very real, very meditative, it was real, but also lucid, but also it was just this weird experience of this energy coming out of the rock. And it felt like it lasted maybe 30 seconds, but it felt like it was this transmission that was hours and hours and hours, right? So I leave, and I'm kind of still, you know, zoned out or dazed out or whatever, kind of blissed out in that moment. And it's a couple days we're doing the RV thing, and I go back to California, and I'm laying in bed, and that's when I'm doing the meditation. And yeah, I just start, and it's like this vibration. It's almost like something is removed, and then it just flows. It's like there's like when you know, when you have the hose on in summer and you kink it, you know, and then you let it go, and it's just, and I know what you mean about this, just constantly this flow of code coming out. But yeah, that was kind of my experience with it.
Yeah, it's the cosmic rays just flowing through now. Just you know, that's what's happening. Opening the channels inside your body. And with me, it's like, I know now that whatever was stuck in my throat, because I felt like there was something that was released, and it must have been there stuck. And here's the thing: it's like a lot of people, well, in the New Age community, we talk about the 7 chakras. Well, the 5th chakra, they say that the 5th chakra is right here in the throat. Well, I don't. Through my inner knowing, through the information that I am sourcing through my higher self, the 5th chakra was thrown into the throat area. There's actually, our internal grid system is not based on the 7 chakras, or what people were taught to believe as the 7 chakras that are aligned in the body. These 7 chakras that people think they're not chakras. They are actually 7 energy centers of cosmic kundalini energy centers. They're cosmic kundalini energy centers of solar rays. They connect to the sacred 7 suns. Our bodies are meant to connect to the sacred seven suns of the multiverse. So the 5th chakra, what I feel is that it was released from my throat, releasing the blockage that was created with the energy center in my voice box here. And the 5th chakra actually belongs on the right side of the body, which is actually the second heart. The 5th chakra represents the second heart for the male energy, which is on the right side of the body. So I speak on the complete 12 grid system, chakra grid system, all the time on social media, because the thing is that we're healing from the fall grid chakra system. That's what we're healing from. And our life body has the 4th chakra. We have a heart. We have on the left side for the female energy, and we have the 5th chakra, the second heart, for the male energy. And so if people can look at my Instagram page, and they can see the grid that I posted in the past, and so they can get a better understanding. But we have the grid actually connects to, it actually creates a 12-pointed star on the clock face that we use, that we follow to tell time. So
Yeah.
that is something that I discovered that nobody else has discovered. I'm like very proud to say that I've discovered that the grid system that I speak about, our original grid system that would allow us to completely transmute out of the space-time matrix, and through the harmonics time matrix and galaxy, is connected to the clock that we use and creates a 12-pointed star. And I can demonstrate that in a post in the future on social media.
It's always amazing to me how,
in the very near future.
Yeah. It's always amazing to me how numbers and how mathematically perfect everything is here. And, you know, like you said, a lot of people don't see that and don't feel that. But I think that was, you know, a major part of my activation was that sacred geometry and being able to see patterns where maybe some don't see the patterns. So going back to that solar energy, how do I ask this question? So when we talk about ascension events, and, you know, I kind of feel as if ascension events kind of come in bursts, right? Because everything trickles down to us. So how do you kind of see things moving along? And, you know, I know we don't like to make any prophecies or predict anything, but how does the ascension cycle look to you, and what are you kind of feeling for, you know, the next 6 months or a year time frame?
Within the next 6 months, year time frame, I see that this is the year 2022, and what I was receiving through my higher self is that by December 2021, Catch 22 it will start to end. If we know the term what Catch 22 means.
Yeah.
So if you, that's what I was receiving. And I keep receiving a lot of getting a lot of impressions of the solar flash event, and that could very well take place between the year 2023 and 2026, and that is part of the ascension cycle completion that will signal the ascension cycle completion, the solar flash event. And the magnetic poles that are, when people speak, there have been reports that that speak about the magnetic poles that are shifting, or the atmosphere, the ionosphere, the poles are shifting. They speak about that. So the reason why this is what's going to trigger the solar flash event is that the shifting of those magnetic poles and the weakening of our density shield. The density shield is being replaced, is what I see. It's being replaced with a new density shield, and so in order for the planet can shift into the higher realms and higher harmonics of the universe. So that's what I see energetically.
Right.
As far as
yeah, so that's the biggest question I always get is like, well, what does that look like? What does it actually look like? You know, and I've got a lot of information, even when I was a kid, about the bifurcation, the trifurcation. So we're splitting into, you know, different, you know, timelines, and certain people are going here and certain people are going there. But how, I mean, it's impossible to tell, right? But how does that look from a three-dimensional human perspective of, does that mean, you know, my neighbor who's, you know, complete opposite of me, does that mean they just disappear off the face of the planet? Or, you know, like, how does that manifest here physically?
It's possible that it will be that way. It's possible that we can experience that. There will be like a split of uh, density. It's a density split is what we're going through. The bifurcation is the density split we are experiencing. Uh, the Once we shift into a higher harmonic layer, then we will transmute into a different version of ourselves. Like our body will transmute into transfigure into a new version.
Right.
So
I have a lot of clients.
It's quite magical to think about.
Right. Well, so my question is, and the question I get from a lot of my clients is, you know, so does that mean my very three-dimensional husband is just going to disappear, you know? And it's, or you know, my dad or my stepmother or whatever it is, you know, does that mean they're just gone? They're just gone? And I never know how to answer that question because, you know, as you know, somebody who's maybe on that ascension timeline, they're going to be a different version of themselves. So does that mean that this person in their soul tribe will just appear on the other side already kind of shifted, and maybe they're already, do you know what I mean? Like maybe part of their consciousness is already there and they just kind of meet up with them. And then this other version of themselves that decided to choose a different timeline, and so it's like this very complicated.
Yeah, it is very complicated because there's the possibilities. It can go either way. So I mean, we just don't really, we all don't really know for sure. We just but what I see happening is that portals will open. The portals will open by the end of the ascension portals, and for all of us, for the ascended beings and the planet by 2026.
So here's a question. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, so early on in my progression through this, I listened to a lot of David Wilcock and Corey Good. I don't know that I resonate with a lot of that information anymore, you know, as we kind of shift out of, you know, certain paradigms. So my question would be, do you see galactic beings, ETs, do you see other energies coming in to help? And now that's also a complicated question, right? So would those beings only be visible and present to an individual who's on an ascension timeline, or would everyday people be able to kind of experience that help as well? Or how does that look?
I feel that if there's an event like a solar flash event, that we could have visitors, the visitors that will intervene to assist in the transition into the frequency band layer, into the next universe. So but for the most part, the people that are connected to their ET family lines will be contacted, and they will be visited. It's only a matter of time, and you know, nobody, like I said, nobody really knows for sure until if we can activate all forms of higher sensory perception, which I'm still working on doing. Yeah. Honestly, that's why I don't offer any services, because I don't want to mislead anybody.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to reach a certain level of healing and expanding, and my goal is to fully activate all forms of higher sensory perception, so that way we can assist everyone to fully elevate.
Right.
In the right direction. you know what I mean? So
Yeah, absolutely.
uh,
Yeah.
so
And that's one thing I've noticed about light language is that,
mhm,
you know, when like I said, I hadn't heard of it. And of course, when it
mhm,
started happening, you know, when spiritual awakening things start to happen too, of course, you Google it to make sure you're not, you know,
mhm,
batshit crazy. And, you know, then of course you find the light language stuff and it is absolutely exploded, which is so amazing to see.
mhm,
So, you know, and that was definitely a part of my, you know, integration was that how important this was and how um, effective it was and exponentially effective it was, because it's almost like if you activate someone that's aware of the activation, then just that person being activated in that way can activate other people subconsciously. Like they don't even have to know they're being activated,
mhm,
but it's still enough of a frequency boost that, you know, because that was one of my things in the very beginning was like, well, there's no way we can get everybody activated in time. There's no way. And I kept hearing back, no souls left behind. This time,
mhm,
no souls left behind. So it was this idea that, you know, we may not all be going to the same timeline or the same ascension cycle, but that we would all have this uplifting in some way. So,
yes.
yeah, so I guess the next question would be, what's the best way to, if you have somebody, let's say, that's more three-dimensional or, you know, kind of subscribing to this more dense timeline where they maybe even be in a de-ascension timeline, right?
Mhm,
Is there a
December.
way, yeah, is there a way to kind of elevate their frequency? I don't want to say without them,
Mhm,
without the human knowing, you know, but of course we
mhm.
always have these permission slips with our higher self. So is there a way to connect with somebody's higher self that may not be, you know, have that bridge yet to their higher consciousness?
Hmm. Well, see, here's the thing. If they're not able to connect with their higher self, then you won't be able to either. You won't be able to, you won't. The only thing you can do is help raise their frequency through love. And
Mm,
that's the most basic way of doing it. If they're stuck in negativity and uh, unbalanced behavior, the only way is through love.
mm,
That's the only way. And it's as simple as that. There's no special technique that you need to do. It's all about expressing love.
mm,
And because love is the most potent form of source energy that will elevate the consciousness and heal. So that's pretty much what I would do if I were,
yeah.
if, you know, if, and I, here's the thing, like, I come from a very big family, and I am the only one that is, you can say that I'm on the 5D level of consciousness
Mm-hmm.
and above, or the rest of my family are in that 3D state of mind
Mm-hmm.
in the matrix. They don't, they're walking around blind. This is the world of, of the blind.
Yeah.
And people like you and I, we're just way showers, and
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to show the way, and to so that way they can see again.
Mm,
You
mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Right.
that's my only purpose here is just to help elevate the vibration on this planet. I'm not here to do anything else.
Absolutely.
As an indigo, that's it. I try to be human and everything, and enjoy myself and life here on this planet. And it's very difficult to do that when there is so many uh, there's so much interference. You have you
Yes.
have you have these you know what I mean. They have
Yeah.
they're they're coming at us with all forms of uh, uh, battle. This is what I'm talking about. It's a spiritual battle we're in, and so it's very hard. So my purpose here is just to really defend the truth, defend the truth of creation.
So that leads me to my next question, because we are where we are and we have this interference, I love that word. How do you, because I find myself, you know, in very everyday conversations, talking with people who believe a narrative, and I think you know where I'm going with this, who believe a narrative that I so strongly oppose to my deepest core. And, you know, most of the time I can handle that and I can breathe and I can mitigate it. But it seems that with those close people, the people that I love the most, and I will hear things and I, you know, it's that, maybe it's, you know, that ego wanting to be like, no, actually you should read this, you should read that, actually don't do that, you know, and kind of wanting to change them, not change them, but change their, you know, the path that they're on. And so how do you, as, you know, because we have these knowings and we have this wisdom, how do you hold back when you want to just unleash on somebody? How do you kind of hold back and, you know, it's their path. Everybody's got their own path, right? But I'm sure you've experienced moments when you're like, oh, I got to say something.
Yes. Yeah. And we all have experienced those moments, and I have too. And sometimes I just can't help it.
Well, that's
and
good to hear.
I unleash. You know why? I unleash because I am a warrior, you know, of truth. So I just can't sit there and allow these like distorted perceptions to just play out. When if I can just speak out and say something about it, and maybe that can drop a seed, and that seed will grow in the future, right? That's what it's all about. So sometimes it's inappropriate to do that. Then you have to learn to control your emotions.
Yeah.
That's the key. I've been through a lot of emotional imbalances. I'll be straight up transparent, honest. Throughout the past 2 years, especially because of what has been happening to us all. I've been experiencing a lot of emotional imbalances, and it's hard for me to control. It's been very difficult, but I know that it's something within me that I needed to heal within myself. And it's just not coming out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the key is that means if you find it very difficult to control your emotions, that means you have to work on yourself, do that inner work healing.
Yeah, that's great.
To balance your thoughts, we have to choose our thoughts wisely, because that's what creates our emotions and feelings about everything. At the end of the day, we're working to become balanced, energetically balanced, in neutrality. That's our ultimate goal for everyone, and that's oneness. That's what we call oneness. And it's very difficult because we're dealing with a lot of distortions. We're dealing with a lot of distortions within people and within this planetary system. So there's distortions of the male and female energies. There's distortions with the ET family line genetics that are playing out within people. And then there's the distortions that are caused by the manipulation of perception that is being played out through the media.
Yeah.
So
here's a question.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So
And
here's
you know, we all know.
Yeah, no. So here's something that I always ask my guides, because I'm always very, and I've never really got a straight answer. So I'm not sure that you've gotten a straight answer either.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, so when Corona happened, I was actually very positive about it, because my thought was, well, this is great. This will awaken everybody. Everybody will kind of have this epiphany moment. And it kind of happened. It definitely happened. We had a lot of people wake up and kind of see things. But I guess
mm-hmm.
I guess my question is, I wanted more out of it spiritually than what I feel like has happened. And, with everything that we know, and I'm sure a lot of people that are listening, we know these truths, right? We know that there's this elite people, if you want to call them people, there's this elite energy that is causing this interference and causing these distortions.
Mm-hmm.
Will that be aware to most folks before the solar event, or is that, do you know what I mean? Is it still, is that still going to kind of be in the collective where it's this split, and then the solar event happens? And so I'm trying to figure that out in my
Mm-hmm.
head. Like, in our lifetimes, are we actually going to see the majority of the collective go, oh,
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yes, we will in this lifetime. We are moving closer and closer to the disclosure event. That's why I said in December 2020, for this year, December 21st, 2022, will trigger the ending of Catch 22. That which means that we will be very close to the disclosure event, where everything will come into global awareness of what has been happening with humanity and the planet. And there will be, it will be sort of a rude awakening with this disclosure event.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be pleasant, and that's in the beginting, because there's going to be a lot of healing that will need to take place, because a lot of truth is going to come out. And it's going to cause a lot of discomfort to the general population.
Wow, I got chills when you said that.
pain.
I definitely, I hope that, I hope that's the case. And I kind of struggle with that, because it's like, is it my ego just wanting to be validated and like, see, I told you guys, I battle with like the validation, the confirmation of, oh, I guess I was right. Or, is it just that, like you said,
The planet.
Yeah, because the collective needs to have this, like you said, rude awakening. And maybe that's why some folks are so deeply rooted in the narrative, because it is ultimately this like resistance, and, they're putting up walls to like not get to their ultimate healing and their trauma. And maybe it is that, that something from a higher frequency has to kind of pull that wall down and go,
Yeah, there was of fear. Yeah, they're all, the walls are all based on fear. The fear program based on fear. It's, oh my God, I know it's very difficult to eat. If I had it my way, we would be there right now.
Yeah.
But I don't have that power.
Yeah.
Yet.
Well, and that's what's very frustrating, and I'm sure that you feel this way too, as well as every single light worker, empathic person, channeler that I've talked to, clients that I've had, is this feeling of, impatience, and it is that old soul syndrome of just like, when are we gonna get this done,
Yes.
guys?
We
Like,
we are exhausted.
yeah.
Yeah, every day I'm just like, I'm exhausted. I really am. But I keep going. My ego says I'm exhausted. I don't want to do this anymore. I like, can we just make it happen now already? Like, it's been way too long. Like, we
Yeah.
need to shift into this higher vibration of love, unity, and uh, divine abundance and prosperity for the world, for humanity. And so my higher self just keeps driving me every day, you know,
Yeah, for sure.
regardless of how much I complain.
I know, right?
Right.
How
So
much,
yeah.
from a percentage, what would you say, this interference and this, the distortions of the matrix and of the 3D, how much percentage wise do you think that actually plays into what we're seeing? Or, I mean, obviously it does, right? But what, because I'm always trying to figure out, and it's both the energetics of it as well. So is it like, are we waiting on the human collective, and are we waiting on the energetics of the universe to kind of be ready for us? Or is it this just divine thing that has to kind of come together? You know, is it one that sparks
Yes.
the other, or is it the whole thing kind of flips
Yes.
back?
So it's a combination of everything that you just said. The first thing, where the ascension energies, the infusions of the ascension energies is, of course, is what we are anchoring in and absorbing to raise our frequency, right? Our vibrational frequency. But as a collective, we need to reach a certain level of collective energy of that energy. So once we do that, then that's when we reach a threshold and a tipping point to the next level of global consciousness shift. And then we are getting very close. I can feel it. The first thing that we need to do is to create. We need to keep creating awareness. So the awareness is the only way. It's the truth, and of everything else is like the time. Even time is there's no way of telling really, but we know that we are close, very close. But as long as we create that global awareness, we keep creating global awareness, we will reach a critical mass of energy. That's what we need. We need to critical mass of energy to tip this thing over.
And I almost see it like, it's almost like this solar energy is kind of, in a sense, kind of been waiting, because, everything has to have an equal part to kind of come together. So, just hearing you say that, it's almost like, okay, well, maybe this solar part is kind of on a hold, maybe, and it's kind of like here, it's kind of like being held back a little bit, maybe from, galactic energies kind of being, just hang on, it's not quite ready. And then we just kind of have to wait for that pulse from the collective to be like, okay, let's do it. So it has to almost be balanced.
Yes, because it's right. One can happen without the other.
Yeah.
So because the collective consciousness is actually the sensory organ for the planetary ascension. We are it. That's why the interference that is playing out is escalating, because we are the sensory organ for the planetary ascension into the higher harmonics of the new reality field. And people call that the new earth. So that's what I feel.
Yeah. So one of the things, kind of going back to this download that I had, was the idea of, I mean, we know that meditation is important. We know that the more people, actual human beings sitting together with a focused intent, that energy is just exponential. It's just compounded. So this idea of, you know, getting light language channelers, specialists, as I call them, together in some sort of meditative, you know, maybe not necessarily where we're all speaking codes at the same time. Maybe, I don't really know how that would look, but the idea of harmonics and this, like, again, I geek out on sound. I do a lot of sound therapy in my work now. And I mean, as humans, we can't get any closer than sound. You know, sound is our tool here, you know, whether it's singing bowls or tuning forks or drums or guitar. Those are all our instruments to create these frequencies here. And, you know, that's kind of been one of my passions, is if we could just get everybody, you know, a bunch of different light language people together, get our instruments and create this, this field. And how potentially, profound would that be? You know, if just one or two people listen to it, they should, you know, you get what I'm saying. But I mean, mass meditation in general, I think is, I mean, there's been studies that show, you know, crime goes down, you know, things just go better when people are focused on a common intention. So
yes, it is true, because see, again, the collective consciousness is what's creating the higher reality field. And if we're receiving the collective consciousness is receiving interference, they're coming across interference, then it's very difficult to do that, to create that higher reality field. And so that's what, and we're in the spiritual war, to be, you know, quite frank, you know, that's what we're dealing with.
yeah,
There we have the forces out there that do not want the collective consciousness to create this higher new reality field. So that's why we are experiencing so much interference.
Yeah. Quick question. How does AI play into that? Do you believe that AI may be the alternative to a higher consciousness that humans can create? Is it the parallel to the organic template? How do you feel about that?
The artificial intelligence that we are using now to raise our frequency, to raise our vibrational frequency, is beneficial. But there is dangerous artificial technology that is being utilized against the collective consciousness, that needs to be dismantled and dissolved. Okay, so we have to be very careful with artificial technology. We are actually the technology.
Yeah.
Once we imagine, and the grid that I speak about, it's our grid. This is the internal grid system that we speak about. If we can fully align our internal grid system, reconfigure, realign, and activate our internal grid system, we can actually manifest anything that is, and we can actually do instant manifestation. That's the ability that we can have. There's all forms of higher sensory perception. There's levitation, everything like that. We are the technology, our life body. We don't really need these outside sources of artificial intelligence, which is, it's a closed system. It's like using crutches. We don't need crutches. What we need is to to heal our internal grid system so we can fully connect to the God technology, our own God technology, and of benevolent creation. So that's my perception.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's almost, I almost feel like, you know, light language was given to us, right, at just the perfect time, just when we needed it, because, you know, the ability to have these frequencies and these codes, being able to kind of neutralize a lot of those distractions, distortions, and align ourselves as well as others. You know, if anybody's, you know, and I always tell people, whoever's drawn to my light language, like, they're a part of my soul family, right? They're a part of that soul tribe. So in some way, shape, or form, they share that same consciousness. I mean, we all share the same consciousness, but, you know, as you come down in densities, it kind of disperse in a funny way. Anyways, so light language has this ability to be able to kind of, I always think of Jurassic Park when they're showing the scene of where they fill the frog DNA with the dinosaur DNA, and it's always like the codes have that ability to be able to fill in those parts that maybe were corrupted, or, you know, maybe on the particular person's soul mission to have them corrupted or tainted in some way. Like, they have that ability to be able to just kind of suture it up and get it in alignment. One of the, I mean, that's, you know, what I heard from the very beginning is there's really no limit to what light language can do for folks and the collective as well.
Oh, definitely. Because, see, the light language is, it is our cosmic lineage. It is it connects to our cosmic genetic rays of consciousness. So that's what light language is. It's, with me, I don't like to say that I channel light language.
Right.
And there's a lot of light workers out there that speak on channeling, and they say they channel light language from other entities and ET life forms. I don't do that. I simply connect to my higher self. And my higher self is what is providing the languages of light, sound codes.
Yeah.
And so the goal is to fully embody, to fully merge with our higher self. So that way, you can say you're channeling, but you're really channeling your higher self.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. I totally agree. Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually,
my perspective.
yeah, no, and that's, and I think folks, channeling in it of itself has some kind of negative connotations. You know, I mean, it really, there's a lot of different words to describe the same thing. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You have some thoughts too.
No, I was just going to say, so that was something that happened to me. And it was a very visceral, very physical experience of when I merged with my higher self. And, you know, I won't go into the details of it, but it was a very extraterrestrial being. I mean, triangle head. He was golden. He had 3 fingers that were very elongated. But anyways, it was this very, very visceral experience of, oh, you're me, I'm you. Sure, let's do this. You know, and it was very, beautiful. You know, very, you know, I integrated those energies for a really long time, but I absolutely agree. It's not, you know, and people will ask me, well, do you have to get into a meditative state? And it's no, it's he's here. I say it's a he. It's, you know, higher dimensional energies don't really have a he
gender.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but it feels more masculine, so I will say he, but it's just me. It's just me from with some other face, with some other energy. So I get what you're saying.
Oh, okay. So the thing about channeling is that when people say they channel uh, light language or even entities, are they're doing it through their subconscious mind.
Hmm.
And the subconscious mind, I would like to make clear, is that it is a distorted state of mind. It's not organic to creation. It is a
Mm.
result of the internal grid system coming out of alignment. That's what created the subconscious mind, and that's what allowed, and that's why we have. There are entities that actually in exist through the subconscious mind, and and that's how people channel
Yeah.
is
Mm.
through the subconscious mind, and that's why it's not. I would advise against doing that because it's very dangerous. The entity can take over and through the subconscious mind because you're not completely healed. We are all still healing back into uh, to complete alignment with our internal grid system. Our internal grid system needs to become completely in alignment, and once we do that, then we are fully connected to our higher self, our internal, and source consciousness, intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I totally agree. That's interesting about the subconscious. It's almost like
that's what that's why it's called sub, because it's like sub teacher. No,
yeah,
like
it's almost like this separate set of simulation or programming that
mhm,
kind of tricks you into thinking, oh, it's not really me. Well, that's why, I tell people whenever they're lucid dreaming or they're astral projection or it's an out of body experience or it's channeling, the only
mhm,
reason you're able to channel is because that's you from some other reality, some other dimension, some other frequency. It's your energy. That's why you're able to make those connections. But the fact that people don't understand that or don't see that, they see that as something separate from them, and then they have to use this subconscious or this other
mhm,
mechanism, this other
mhm.
program, this other ego or whatever it is, to be like, oh, I'm using this to connect with that. But no, you're just connecting with you from somewhere else.
Right,
Mm.
right. Well, really, a higher version of yourself,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
your future self. It,
Yeah.
that could be it too. It's just, and the only way to know for sure is to activate your higher sensory perceptions completely.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. So,
Hmm.
and everyone, that's for everyone to do. Everyone has to do that for themselves. And but all we can do is to. I'm still working on myself, and you're still working on yourself.
Oh
Everyone
yeah.
is doing, you know, working on themselves too. So
Yeah, it kind of feels like an endless process sometimes,
it,
doesn't it?
it yes, it does. It does, and
Oh.
it just feels like how much longer until I'm finally there? I feel like for me, I feel like I feel I have a few more transfigurations, and then I'm there. Once I'm there, I'm ready to help uh, really express that and transmit that into the collective.
Hmm.
I just want to help raise the vibration of the collective. That's it. The
Yeah.
raise the collective energy. That's it. I don't. There's no. I don't. I'm not here to be a guru or some type of
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, that's the first thing I tell folks is I'm
influencer.
a facilitator. We're facilitators, right?
Right.
And ultimately it's putting the power, because that's part of the programming, right? Is that we're victims, and we're just we're a product of the machine, and that's what we like to fall in. That's honestly, you know what? Sometimes I fall into that, and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch Netflix today. I'm done. But you know, that's the whole point of it, is like empowering people, letting everybody I talk to and letting them know, hey, you're your own guru. I can't make you do anything, and I can't make you progress. It's your decision to wake up and meditate. It's your decision to wake up and eat right. You know, it's putting those tools. I can give you tools and I can tell you what helped me, but I can't wake you up and dress you and feed you. Like, you know, ultimately empowering people, folks, to let them know that you're divine, you're a fractal of source, and you can manifest the same things that anybody else on the planet can manifest. And
yes,
yeah,
because we are source embodied. That's the truth of creation. Everyone is source embodied. And once we remember that, once everyone starts to remember the truth of that creation, then we can move into that higher reality field. Stop giving your power away to these entities, and you know, that's what people need to stop doing.
Yeah.
The power is inside of us. It's inside of us. It always has been.
Yeah, and that's where those distortions and interference come in, is making people yeah,
it's making people discouraged and play into that victimization of circumstances.
Yeah.
I used to be that. I was a wounded warrior. I'm coming out of that now. I'm no longer a victim of circumstances. We create our realities, but at the same time, we're dealing with so much interference. It's so difficult. That should be the title of this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And, you know, I think it's
the interference.
I think it's worth noting that as these energies ramp up, and as the you know, this impeding energy ramps up, it's also going to ramp up on the negative as well, you know, and you know, I tell people that too, like, I think it might get worse before it gets better. Like, yeah, things don't look great right now.
Yeah, it's going to
get worse.
Yeah, quite chaotic, and but it's not. It's only going to be temporary. We have a beautiful future ahead of us. After we get past, it's like the dark night of the soul. When people know about the dark night of the soul, that's what we are experiencing right now. Once we come out of that, we're almost at the end of that. Once we come out of it, it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Butterflies and peaches and roses.
Well, I'm always reminded of something that did really strike me, that resonated with me, when Corey Good talked about this incoming energy, this solar energy coming in, that the people that were out of alignment, the people that were on this kind of not so great timeline, they would start to lose their minds, and you would start to see people really, you know, just not, you know, and you know, mental illness, and we see these things popping up. And you know, in my personal life, you know, I've seen folks that always seemed very grounded and fine folks, you know, and I'm starting to see some of that bubble up in them, and I'm like, oh, you know, maybe we are seeing these, it's almost like the emotional traumas and the blockages are getting bubbled to the surface. And again, these folks are not in awareness, so they don't know what's going on, right? It's you know, the idea of a frog being, you know, boiled, and it's like, what's happening to me? But they're not in awareness. They don't have that capacity of consciousness. So it's just like they're reacting very emotionally. So you know, maybe that's kind of what we're seeing.
Yes, it's very difficult. they say that we're living in a prison planet, but it's like at the same time to me it feels like an asylum, an asylum. Because a lot of people are dealing with a lot of mental issues. Everyone has been dealing. We all are dealing with some type of mental health issue, and that's what it's part of our healing and journey mission is to come out of that. It's like a hospital. Where we're the people that are walking around blind and unconscious and in the 3D are like they're in a coma state. They don't know what's going on. They're oblivious. They're just following like the sheep in the herd. And so we have to reach a certain level of energy so that they can come out of that coma state and awaken to the new dream, the higher reality field. So
for sure. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you want to share any codes, we've been talking about ascension, we've been talking about lifting people up.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted the best way to do that. I would love to do that is through light language music. That's my thing. Like I want to create a stage. Like, can I just create a stage for a new stage for light language music and different genres of light language music? Like that's my dream.
Yes, I've thought about the same thing.
And to raise the frequency, the vibrational frequency and of the planet, the collective. And I'm excited. I always get excited when I think about it. And that's why I'm so passionate about light language and even creating light language music. And so when I do light language, I like to do it with music. And so I can do a transmission right now and follow through with a sovereign freedom and liberation transmission at the end. And then we'll go from there.
Awesome.
It'll probably be about 15 minutes is what I want to use for the entire transmission.
Sure.
But it will be, and I'll be playing tribal music for the background.
Okay.
So, so let's get started then.
Awesome.
All right. So we have what this is a Oraphim galactic angelic sovereign inner freedom transmission. Here we go. Yalitan funny hit janan take janan jantane aliti janan twate yeke jade alihan twane hit janan twa hit jade jantane hit aliwa yade jantane hit yanwa hit jalihan twane hit jalitan twa hadit jantade jalike jade Jalit hantwa tete katete jaliti jantalete tate ikate wane hete jandate hete jate hantate jantalete ai jantwane hete jantalete jantalete se jantalete ke jantalete
Arete Yandelete, Wahandele Hiti Yanantati, Aishandelete Hati, Ayandwani Hiti Yandelete Tanda Hiti, Handanite, Yanhandwatiki Yande, Wanante Yandelete, Yanandwani Hiti Yandani Hiti Yade, Ayandwanelete, Are Uayandwani Hiti Yade, Yantakade Ishandele, Ayandwani Hiti Hai. Hiti yanda hiti ke yanda hiti yati yari tandwani hiti yanda hiti ke yanda hiti si yanda hiti yanda hiti yanda ki elete kati yanda hiti hadi yari tandwani hiti yadi hadi yari tandani hiti ay yanda tandani yanda hiti yanda hiti uhande ke yanda hiti Abi Jandelete Hade Jantan Wakande Jantade Elete Jandale Wakade Jandalete Jantade Ayantade Jantade Jale Hayati Handeke Yantelete Si Jandale Jandalete Jadi Antade Hiti Jandade Jadalete Handade Sede Jandalete Jandade Hiti Jadalete Gadantade Gandalete handani hiti, irjadalete handani hiti, jandade, jandade, nalete jandalete handane, ayandalete hade, urjandalete handani hiti, jandale hiti, jandani hiti, irjadalete handani hiti, jandane, irjadalete hayane hiti, jandade, urjandalete handani, ayandane hiti, jandalete. I handed it Jantadin, we Janalete hit handed, then it hand one hit the Janalete hand had it hit each Janalete, I Janalete hit and honey, each Janalete Janan de hit the Kishan and what it, Ali Tanan, Ali Tishan and Dani hit it, who can that hit it, Han Yandalete. Yan Handwani hitting Jana, Aleti Janan hitting. I Jantwani hitting Janan Twality Hanelete. I Jantelete say that they can hit Jani hit Mayan. I Yanwani hitting Janan hitting Janan hitting. Can hand hit each Jandelete Hati, each Jandelete Hati. I Yanwani hand had it in. Janet Handwani handing Janet. Janet Handwade Incarnate Jandalete Sijade Aleti Jandalete Jade Pani Eletu Through the God-will Trinity creation, we declare the complete emancipation of the universal tribal records for angelic humanity. Restore the original morphogenetic code extraction set of crystal base 12, including the embodiment of the 144 harmonics within the triune grid shield manifestation divine template, divine sun body. Avatar of Ascension, Jalitan Tuadentin, Urjadetin, Aleti Shanaletin, Jalitan Tuanihiti Jadin, Jantin, Urkaditi Shandaletin, Jantaditi Shandaletin, Jantaniti Kadin, Urkaditi Handin. Restore the organic tree of eternal life creation codes of base 12, balanced harmonics, and tri-unity grid configuration. Aliti Shandaletan Vanihiti Yadin, Jali Wanihiti Yadin, Aliti Jaminit Wayantin. We unify our soul family groups and monadic families, and we unify our particle, anti-particle, twin ray, Jalitanta Disti Yadin, Janit Tu Janan Talitin. Also collectively known as our genetic equal, hierogamic sacred union partner. Yalitam Twadetin, Aliti Shandaletu Jadalitan Danitin, Aliti Shandanihitu Jadin. Retrieve all stations of identity, connected as our genetic equal, monadic twin ray. Jalitanta Disti, Jalite, Aliku Jadin. We restore our true genetic equals, and through the power of eternal love, we unite to form sacred spiritual unions to heal all fallen timelines and previous time cycles. Jalitanta Disil, Aistandane, Jantantun Arkaditil, Alitik Jantadit Ukaditil, Jantadit, Elitik Jadit Uanehitil, Hayan Twanihiti Kadin, Jalite Shandan Alite Shandan Letum, Jalitandani Hite, Urkadete Standete Hane, Jalite Hane, Urkadete, Jatim, Urkaditan Hani Hite, Kade Jandelete. We move this from quantum energy spaces throughout the harmonic layers of creation and into our cosmic sovereign law, reclaimed within the divine balanced vibration expression, restored and made manifest in God's authority here and now. Jalitanta de se jadin, Jalihum janante kadin, Jalhe urjade te jadin, Janilete hane wa yadite, urjadite jadilete hane, Jalitandaniete jadin, Jalitandaniete jadin urjadite, Jantadilete hadin. We firmly decree and align with the organic creator code, directly connected to the Trinity, wave sound fields of the actual one source, central 0 point of all union. Jalitan danihete, jalitin kaditi, urjadite janelete, hane janelete, urjadite janan dwanelete kadite, jane uhanite jadete jadete, jalitan dwanelete jadete, jadkadele urjadele tandanete. We take back our God's sovereign right to heal and wholeheartedly expand eternally, fully connected, awake and aware of benevolent source love as beloved sons and daughters of God's source. Jan alete jade urgadete janelete ane janelete ane urgadete jadelete ade aleki janan vanete jadelete ade hayan vanete jadeletu kadante jantade kaditi jandelete. We consecrate our sacred alignment with beloved Father, Mother God, eternal Christ, and Christ's fulfilled essence and presence in perfect divine will. Janhan tuanilite kadeste jadilete, Yankande unhantatelete jantadetim, alite jant jantane handate. We are sealed in the organic living light of true source consciousness now and forever. Alite shantalete ke shantalete. So be it, and so it is. Thank you, beloved God, eternal guardians, and universal Christ families of unified one love.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. What's always so beautiful to me, one of the stories in the Bible, I know the Bible, right? But, the story of Babel, right? And the idea that, the collective was coming to some sort of togetherness. And then all of a sudden, this outside source said, no, actually you go there, and you're all going to speak different languages, and you're not going to understand each other anymore. And that was one of the major downloads and integrations that I received, was that light language goes beyond all of that ego and all of that human experience, and it speaks directly to the heart. And it is that language of source, to where we just get it. You just get the emotion of it, and it doesn't, have to break down into words and context, because the English language is so corrupt and distorted and just ugly, that you don't really need to, there's no context to it. It's just emotion. It's just feeling. It's just, straight to the heart chakra. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's straight from the heart.
Yeah. Oh, well, awesome. You've gone way past what you said you wanted to. Thank you so much. This was definitely an experience for me. I know, you maybe didn't know, but you helped me a lot through my process and different.
Oh, I didn't know that. 144. Why are you attracted to 144?
So
so many of us are, huh?
Yeah, it's the grid. It's the crystalline grid. It's the dodecahedron. It's 12 times 12. It's the idea.
12 times 12.
It's the fractal. It's as if that's what energetically, because I'm all about sacred geometry, right? Energetically, that's what the collective looks like. It's all of these different points of light and also frequency. So it is the source frequency. It is the God frequency, the 0 point field frequency. And when you connect with that stream of consciousness, it's just, you're just there. You've got it all and you've got nothing. And, you know, it's this complete paradoxical, dualistic environment of where everything exists and nothing exists, and it's okay. It's just, you're just neutral. It's just, there's no pull and push and pull.
144 is it's connection to the higher self.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
I brought that up because I was thinking about your username.
Yeah.
14441 Amanda 144.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Yeah, and also, you know, the Bible, you know, right? The 144. The passage is that the 144 will sing their song, and nobody will know the song, but they'll sing their song. And to me, that was just like, whoa, that's light language. That's light language, is this idea of this song that we all sing and nobody can understand it, but they understand it, you know, and that to me was this idea of, that's how we, you know, because we've collectively been raising our frequency, but this is the push. This is the final, like, oh, we've got this force behind us now. And, you know, what you were saying, your mission, your goal is to get as many people activated as you can. And, and just aware, you know, maybe not even activated, just aware that this exists. And, you know, if we can plant seeds in people and spark some consciousness, spark some DNA in their body, their energetic and their rainbow body, light body, maybe that's all we have to do, is just some little bolts of lightning, you know?
Right. God's seed blessings to the world.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, personally, I needed this, but also I really appreciate this connection and the conversation, and you're amazing.
Thank you. You too.
And you know, definitely, if you ever want to do any collaborations with music, I'm totally open to that. And if you ever want to talk again, because I still have like 100,000 questions I want to ask you, but but maybe in the future. So I'm going to link all of your YouTube and Instagram and your Facebook pages and groups, and yeah, all of your information will be there, and people can check you out and look you up and listen to your transmissions, which are the utmost important thing for everybody to do. And
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, thank you so much, Romeo.
You're welcome, Amanda.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me